thing, but I had to get on here because a post wasn't enough. Because a post wasn't going to express enough just how stupid some of the comments have been from everyone from the person in mom's basement all the way up to some prominent names in this business about the playoff format coming off of the Diamondbacks victory as if Diamondbacks Rangers is a problem and the reason is the format, and you're wrong because it's not a problem and it's not the format. The problem is you. The problem is the same people who want to sit there and root for all the upsets in the NCAA tournament, then complain when Butler gets to the final. The same people who root for these teams who get opportunities to get in and champion those opportunities then are upset when it's not their team who actually goes on the run. But it goes deeper, way deeper than that. The playoff format is not why the Diamondbacks won games 6 and 7 in a park no one could win in, that the Phillies were undefeated through the first 6 times this postseason, and something no one thought they could do, including me, and including some other prominent folks, much more than me, who are now talking about retirement. But that's a 7-game series. That is a 7-game series. And a league championship series that they got to by beating a team that had won 100 wins in the Dodgers, who have already shown many times over during this machination. And I love Dave Roberts, and I love that franchise, and there's nothing wrong with saying the facts of the matter that they've lost in a number of different ways over the years. They've also won because that's what happens in sports, not just baseball, in postseasons. It happens all the time. We watched a Patriots team that now has 18-1 attached to it, and a Giants team who had no business even being in that Super Bowl in the first place, because these things happen in sports, and that's what's great about sports. To expect the unexpected, that you never know when that moment is coming, that as a fan, you can dream big, as a player on the field or a coach or a manager or up in a front office, that you can dream that this is going to be your moment and you are going to seize it. Even the Patriots I just mentioned, just because I prove it's not baseball, go back to the first Tom Brady run where he wasn't even the starting quarterback. Mo Lewis, the injury to Bledsoe, all the way in, and somehow greatest show on turf, no mas goodbye. This is the great thing about sports. But the bad thing about social media and the bad thing about sports is that we're all jealous. And that we all get the schadenfreude, and that we're all just get pissed off when it's not our team who's doing it, because there's nobody who's rooting for the Diamondbacks complaining about a playoff format, and there's nobody who would even say that because they understand the gauntlet they just ran to get here. In 2006, the St. Louis Cardinals won 83 or 84 games. Everyone else in the National League Central Division was under the 500 mark. Everyone else in the entire division. They were underdogs in every series they faced, including a Mets team who had won 100 games or something like that and was clearly supposed to beat them. Beat them 12-5 in a game 6. You remember game 7 when Eddie Chavez and the strength to be here. Point is, Cardinals win, and they get to the World Series that they weren't supposed to win either, with Anthony Reyes, of all people, starting game 1 and David Eckstein winning an MVP in that series, but they ran a gauntlet. Should they have been disqualified because their whole division was bad? Because they won the same amount of games the Diamondbacks won this season. The playoff format isn't perfect, and no format is, but it's not the BCS. Get over yourselves and shut up. You got nothing else to write. Just be quiet. I have said about the format, and I believe that I think it would be beneficial to the teams who have all the great seasons and go through the regular campaign and deserve a little bit of an extra juice to that, certainly. That the bye could hurt you because of the lack of momentum, and some other team wins in 3 exciting games and they come in hot, certainly. Play into the depth and the importance of that by making that first series 7 games and not 5, which, by the way, Braves still would have gone home. Dodgers still would have gone home. But you can manage differently, plays out to your depth differently, and that depth then gets more tired for the team that's been playing extra while you had the bye, and that rest now plays to your advantage. And we're already into November all the time in the postseason. What the hell's 2-3 extra days? Not going to hurt anybody. No big deal. More money for everybody. No big deal. From TV networks all the way on down. So if you want to adjust the playoff format, adjust the playoff format. But the idea that the playoff format, in which wild cards have made these runs before, in which teams that have not had great records winning crappy divisions have made runs before, and it's baseball, and it's never been the way that you can have a situation as great as LeBron is, that he can get to the finals all those times in a row, because you can't drag the Bobby Gibsons and Ilgauskises or the J.R. Smiths and the Shumperts off a deal with the Knicks. You can't do those things because you can't just be a one-man band. If you could, Mike Trout wouldn't have 3 career playoff games with 11 career at-bats. So you dopies need to wake up and realize it's been this way a long time. This is not just the playoff format. This is how baseball is, always has been, always will be, about who gets hot and becomes those heroes in October. We have seen teams that are heavy favorites get knocked off all the time. It has happened all the time. And great teams win no matter what the format is. The 98 Yankees would beat the Diamondbacks or the Texas Rangers. They were an amazing team. The format wouldn't have hurt them. The Braves went home because they didn't play well enough. The Dodgers went home because they didn't play well enough. And the Phillies went home because they fell on their face up 3-2 in a park no one's supposed to win in against a team that isn't even supposed to be there with you. But we got nothing else to do. Now, you want to say the ratings aren't going to be great because it's Texas and it's Arizona and it's not 2 huge franchises and all that. All those things maybe will be true. As great as stories as they are for baseball fans, those things may be true in a national landscape. They may be. And I understand what that is like in that lens working for networks that are involved in the postseason. I get that. I get it. But the idea that it's 2 teams that don't belong here or it's the format, there wasn't a format that had Texas beating the defending champs 4 times in their own building. It wasn't a format that had Arizona down 2-0 in a series against the hottest team in the league, it looked like, on either side in Philly at the time, who had made the World Series last year, then get back to the wall 3-2, go into their park and somehow find a way to win. They outplayed them. They were better in the margins in that series. They were better late in innings on the mound. They were better in big spots at the plate. They were better on the base paths, clearly by far. They were bringing in runners from third with less than 2 outs. You can argue that the biggest at-bat Corbin Carroll had was at the time that sac fly, because those are the things that the Phillies couldn't do. If that ball didn't fly over the wall, they couldn't score. They lost. Now, I didn't think the Diamondbacks are going to win this series either. I don't think they're going to beat Texas either. But if you don't embrace and understand that this is the great part of sports, and you are writing articles or trying to go get clickbait or go sit there and find your views by going out there and spewing this garbage about the playoff format, you are a moron. Is that straightforward enough for you? Or perhaps you might say, unfiltered enough. See you next time on Unfiltered. Get to the podcast. Apple, Spotify, everywhere you get them.